Hello friends, welcome. Friends, yesterday I wrote this article, Telecom's last stand, why letting VI collapse will cost India dearly. Now, I will paste a link of this article in the description of this video. The purpose of this video is to take you through the details of this article, point by point. And this is going to be a pretty important video, friends. You will understand the whole structure of the Indian telecom industry, what went wrong, and what needs to be done immediately, otherwise the whole system will collapse. And that's the whole purpose of this video, friends. You watch till the end and you will be really benefited. You will be able to unlock the true story of Indian telecom industry, which kind of gets hidden under the carpet because of all the confusion which is kind of going around all over the place, and we are not getting the big picture, right? So friends, in order for us to go through the details of this presentation, I have created some slides because that will make my thought structured and it is going to be more efficient without wasting your time, right? So this is the chart deck I have created with the title India's Telecom Last Stand, Why Letting VI Collapse Will Cost India Dearly, the same title of this article. So these are the topics, friends, which I am going to discuss in my presentation. Stagnation of telecom GDP, because there is a perception that Indian telecom market is growing. Actually, it is stagnated. When you go through this presentation, you will understand that why I am saying so. Market leaders have grown inorganically, not organically. That's what you're going to get the insight, which will look as if like a surprise to many of those viewers who do not have a clear understanding of the telecom market. There has been regulatory passivity. Myth of uniform pricing power. Now, whenever we talk about tariff hike, what we are trying to do? We are trying to revive Vodafone Idea, make Vodafone Idea more healthy. But do you know that tariff increase, pricing power is non-uniformly distributed across all the telecom players? Some have much higher tariff pricing power, and some of the market challengers have virtually no tariff pricing power. So that's what we're going to discuss. VI's collapse will be the final blow, nail in the coffin, and urgent need for course correction. Why? Now, just to give you a brief background, you already know this. You can pause the video and look at and just digest this slide. It is just a recap, actually, what has happened, the key events which have happened. The most important event, which is actually have been the penultimate nail in the coffin, is the arduous disruptive entry in 2016, which I'm going to show you in my dashboard. And that led to exit of market challenger, most of them, except Vodafone and Idea. And then the final nail in the coffin was the AGR judgment, which was somehow the government tried to nullify that impact by the telecom relief package, which has not brought any dividend. It has really not solved the problem, friends. Now, purpose of this analysis. What is the purpose of it? Purpose of this analysis to understand real versus nominal growth. Now, whenever we look at the telecom revenues, we are looking at nominal revenues. That does not give us the right picture. We need to see the real revenues. Then only you will come to know who grew, who has stagnated, and who has collapsed, right? Why market leaders have gained, risk of further market collapse, and why VI survival matters, right? Now, let's go further in my presentation. So let me just see, my pen has collapsed, show screen burst. Yeah. So now, unmasking the Indian telecom revenue growth, real versus nominal. Now, friends, generally you will see the telecom revenues are always spelled out in nominal terms, not in real terms, because it's very difficult to calculate real growth of telecom. There are no tools which are available. We need to extrapolate, and that is exactly what I have done, and I'm going to show you how I have extrapolated some of the economic metric which RBI keeps on publishing to able to calculate real telecom growth. So that will give us a sense of separation from perception from reality. Now let's go straight to my chart, which is the Excel sheet which I have used to calculate this. But friends, I am not going to digress too much here, but otherwise the whole depth of this presentation and the direction of the presentation will be lost. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview, and you can go into my article to deep dive on this, how I have calculated. Friends, what I have done is I have used the population of the various Indian state, right, as a benchmark. And what I have also done, because you know that the circles are only 22 and the number of states are 35 or 36, just can count. So I have to map these individual circles to the state so that I can create a correct mapping. Once I have done that, I created a multiplying factor. And what is this multiplying factor? The multiplying factor is proportional to the population. For example, if you see, West Bengal is mapped to Sikkim, West Bengal is mapped to West Bengal, West Bengal is mapped to Andaman Nicobar Island. So these multiplying factor which I have created, it all will add up to 1. Right? So that is the thing that you need to know before I take you to the next step. The next step is I have used the RBI's sheet which they publish every month. So this is Consumer Price Index, rural, urban combined, broken down by all Indian state. So you see that general index is there, CPI general index is there for rural, urban and combined. So since I wanted to use only for combined, so I have taken the general index for combined. So this general index for combined you will find here listed somewhere else. This is the general index for rural, this is general index for urban, this is general index for combined. So once I have extrapolated this sheet, I put this in this with this sheet, title CPI state, and you will see that this is date, these are the states, and these are the state codes, right? And this is provisional versus final, and these are the index which I was talking about. Then you know the multiplying factor that I have used. The multiplying factor I have used to multiply the combined index, right? This combined general index with the multiplying factor to come out with these values. Now these values, for example, West Bengal, which you saw. So West Bengal has a combined index of 193.7 for Andaman Nicobar. So West Bengal mapped with Andaman Nicobar has a combined index of 193.7. So you understand how the CPI indexes work. Similarly, Sikkim has got 197. Then we have got West Bengal has 193.4. Now these are mapped to states. I have to map them to circles. So what I do, I simply multiply this with the multiplying factor that I showed you just recently, and I come out with these numbers. Now if you add these numbers, you will find that these is going to map to the state, which are mapped to the circles which are mapped to the state, so that you can see that for each and every row this number is going to be constant. 195.12 here, 195.12 here, 195.12 here. Once I have done that, what I have to do, I have to go here, and then this TRAI is financial analysis data. If you see here, if you go to the TRAI, this is the financial analysis data. I have aggregated it for all different months. And once I have that data here, I have listed this data here. And these are basically on the basis of circle. Then I have AGR here, right? And I have already have the combined CPI of December, which I calculated, right? And then, since the December CPI is the reference CPI for calculated the present value, I have listed all the CPI values for all different rates for all different circles, and I have divided this by this, right? And I came out with this factor. Once I have this factor, I simply multiply this factor with AGR to come out with the present value of AGR for December 2024 for all past years. You understand now? I can't go beyond this, otherwise it will become a very long presentation. After I have done that, I am going to show you the sheet that you will be able to visualize right in front of you, because this is a very, very important sheet, my friends. So this is the dashboard which I have created using Tableau. The first is nominal telecom industry quarterly revenue. So you will see that here you can see Bharti here, right? The Bharti started with a nominal revenue of in 2014 Q1 quarter, this quarter, right? Of how much? 19,823. These are quarterly revenue. Now here in the end of December 2024 Q4, these are all calendar year, this number has increased to 29,954. Similarly, Reliance Jio started with 0. Now Reliance Jio is at 29,348. Similarly, Vodafone Idea started, if you add this two together, 9,000 plus 13,000, roughly around. So this is how much? This is around 10,000. This is around 14,000. So 24,000. Now it is at 9,400 and something, right? So this is how it is. So how the industry grew in nominal terms, this is a total growth. Like this, it dipped when the Reliance Jio entered the market and it went up. It gives a perception that we have grown by 92% in this 10 years. Right? 92% of growth in 10 years starting from 2014 Q1. Right? This is nominal growth, which gives a perception that industry has grown. It does not give a perception that industry has stagnated. Therefore, we need to go to the real AGR, right? The real AGR, which I just calculated. Now, if you look at real AGR, what you see here, you can see clearly that there hasn't been any growth. This is stagnant because the peak was in 2016 Q3, which was how much? 73,200. And now, after the tariff hike, the total industry revenue of these operators stands at 75,000, which is just 2.4% growth after tariff hike, which means from the peak of 2016 Q3, the industry in real terms has grown by just 2.45%. Now you can clearly see here what happened to the industry. So as soon as Reliance Jio entered, the revenue, the real revenue shot down from what? From 73,200 to 47,000 crore for a quarter. And then Bharti also shrunk, and then Bharti started growing high. And once the tariff hike happened, there was a steep hike of Bharti's revenue. But Reliance Jio, was able to aggregate all the revenues from these operators who exited the market, like Airtel gone, Arcom gone, right? BSNL revenue shrunk, Vodafone Idea merged and their revenue shrunk. So the revenue was gathered from who? Those market challengers who lost. And these were all captured by Reliance Jio and Bharti. So the valuation of Bharti and Reliance Jio did not increase organically. They were able to get the revenues of those market challengers who exited the market or who started bleeding because of this shock which got created because of the entry of Reliance Jio, started giving free data. So this is very clear from this chart that though it appears as if that the industry has grown, industry actually has not grown, because this 10 years, the revenue of the total industry revenue has largely stagnated. This is the story of India's telecom industry. And therefore, if you see here, this is the nominal growth, the illusion of expansion, revenue 39,000, right, in 39,000 crores, and then 75,000 crores is grew from 39,000 crores. There's a modest of 92%, it appears. So growth was mainly due to consolidation. And if you look at this is how I calculated it, which I already showed you. Now the real growth story is stagnation. Why? Peak was at 73,200 crores in 2016, dropped to 47,000 crores and recovered, but only after tariff hike. And the tariff hike, impact was disproportionately realized by the mobile operators because of the reason which I showed you here. You look at here. Here the tariff hike happened. Bharti exponentially increased, but Reliance Jio's this trajectory was not that good, and Vodafone Idea is continuously in the path of decline. So this is Idea, this is Vodafone. These two together merged here, and then Vodafone Idea, I see it is path of complete decline, and in real terms, right? Now, let's go to the next slide. So you see that winners and versus losers, right? So Bharti gained most, Reliance Jio stabilizes, and Vodafone Idea continues to decline. And Bharti capture all premium subscribers, right? So this is basically from disruption to domination, how the stronger got more stronger. So this battle is not about win-win. This battle is actually about win-lose. You lose, I win, right? So the market leaders absorbed the weak players. RGO disruption collapsed the real revenue. That was RGO's entry and the free data actually caused all those market challenges to go out of the business. There were other reasons, high price of spectrum, high license fee, but this was the nail in the coffin for Aircels and others and Arcom, etc. They went out of business. Vodafone Idea merged, but when the AGR judgment came, that was the ultimate fate of Vodafone Idea, sealed the fate of Vodafone Idea. So Bharti grew without needing it. So there's another thing. There was no need to have any tariff hike, because what was the point of having tariff hike when you were able to absorb all the revenues of your challengers? So you kept adding revenues, so there was no need of, so your valuation increased, without the, so when people complain, we didn't have any tariff hike, there was no need to have any tariff hike because these were being absorbed from these players who were quitting the market. And if you tried to do tariff hike, then you would not have been so successful. I'll tell you the reason why, in the next part of the presentation. So why tariff hike alone cannot save the industry? This is important. tariff hike favored only those operators who have premium subscribers. And I'll tell you why they are favoring only premium subscriber. There is limited pricing power overall. This also we are going to discuss. Further tariff hike risk shrinking data usage, the symptom of this already clearly visible from TRI data. Data has shrunk. It was growing. The consumption of data was growing. Now it is shrinking. Long-term danger of innovation and jobs. Now let me tell you why I think that tariff hike is not going to help uniformly. Now you look at this data, which I've showed you in one of my presentations. This is the survey report of Ministry of Information and Statistics. What they do, they come out with a survey report for every round, and the latest round was for 2023-24. So what they do, they actually created these buckets. These are part of the CPI index, and they find out distribution of these buckets. Let's say if the revenue is 100 or the spend is 100, how much they are spending in each of these buckets. So if you look at, this is a rural sheet, and this is the 2011-12, and at that time, let's say the industry's overall MPC for rural. MPC means monthly per capita expenditure in rural area in real terms was this, and this is in nominal term is this row, and the real term is this row. Now, if you take the real nominal income, which is per capita, of rural consumer, it was 1430. Now in 2024-23, 23-24, it is 2079. So there has been only 1.4 times increase. But the inflation has gone much higher. It is 2.3 times increase. In urban area, fortunately, if you go to urban area, this number is 2.66. Therefore, the consumption pattern actually has not kept up with the inflation, right? The consumption. So when the consumption is not kept up with the inflation, then how the tariff hike will be absorbed by the consumer? Most of them will start consuming less because they don't have the capacity, right? So that is why the risk of the two players, it is a two-player market. VI collapse leaves two dominant players, higher prices, less innovation, poor services. Structural mistake that we got there. What are the high spectrum costs? Punitive AGR dues, which we already know, regulatory apathy, and vendor exit, job loss, and then the allowing a player to enter the market to cause so much disruption in the real revenue, right? Look at this. This whole thing collapsed here, and that basically broke the backbone of this market challenger. Look at the real revenue. It was at here, and it went down like this in downhill. It almost went down to from 73,200 to 47,000 crores quarterly revenue, and which definitely didn't have, these people didn't have any breathing power left. So when a market player with deep pocket enters the market and it kind of gives free data, and later you start increasing tariff, imagine that what it costs to the industry. It's quite natural. Now let's go to the next slide. So final conclusion. What is the final conclusion? Real growth has stagnated, which we already have seen. Market leaders gain by absorbing challengers, right? Not organic growth. Sector risk, monopoly, and consumer harm, right? So the saving competition is saving India's telecom future. So how do you do that? Healthy telecom industry sector is essential for digital India. It is important that players like Vodafone Idea is preserved, and I am extremely, you can say, worried by when these kind of comments are being made by our honorable minister. VI stake is going to be capped at 49%. Now, if VI stake is going to be capped at 49%, tell me how VI is going to pay this amount. I'm going to show you what this sheet I have showed you in one of my presentation. This is the VI's sheet, right? And it gives you, I don't want to go into the detail. People already know that what I'm talking about, those who are following my video. This is the payment due, right, for each and every financial year, FY26, FY27, FY28, FY29. These are the yearly installment which VI has to pay. Now, at the end of FY26, which is 31st March 2026, VI has to pay 18,540 crores, and their revenue is 40,000 crores. Their EBITDA margin is 16,000 crores. How will they be able to pay 18,000 crores? Tell me how they will be able to pay. VI will be able to pay in 31st March 2026, 18,540 crores. So when minister is making, VI stake is capped at 49%, and if they don't pay, VI will collapse. When VI will collapse, what will happen? this revenue that you see here for VI, which is 9,439 crore, is going to get distributed between Bharti and Reliance Jio. Bharti will take the maximum pound of flesh. Vodafone Jio will take a lower chunk, because premium subscribers are going to go to Bharti, and therefore Bharti may be able to sustain few more months without tariff hike. Because VI collapse, this revenue will get to distribute, and you will notice that whatever gain Bharti has made through tariff hike, this is going to be more than this revenue. If this goes to Bharti, is going to be more than the tariff hike. So maybe after a few months there will be no tariff hike, because after VI collapse, and therefore they probably want VI to collapse, right? The market leaders. And then after that, this whole thing is going to become zero. BSNL is already a weak player, and these two players are finally going to rule the market, and consumer will be at the mercy of the two market leaders. No innovation, no leverage of consumer. Vendors will lose all leverage of pricing power. Telecom industry is going to become completely non-competitive. It will be a monopoly industry. There will be no technology requirement, no technology innovation will take place. Nothing will happen. 6G is going to die, because local market is going to collapse, friends. So that is the real danger, and therefore this is very, very important. Saving the competition in saving competition is saving the future, and healthy telecom sector is essential for digital India. So friends, I hope that you have liked my presentation. I tried to zip it within 20 minutes. This is a long story. I don't know how much justice I have been able to do, but that's all I have to say in this presentation. This was really hard work. A lot of numbers have to be crunched, and thanks friends for listening till the end. And I hope that you like this video, and I'll come back with a new video next time on a new topic. Thank you very much for listening.